Welcome back to Auto Club Speedway of Southern California, where the Auto Club 500 is set to resume under sunny skies and on a hopefully dry racetrack. NASCAR on Fox welcomes you back to, yes, sunny Southern California for the continuation of the Auto Club 500. Presented on Fox by Q Motor Oil. We raced and it rained yesterday long into night. Got the green flag. Denny Hamlin crashed. Casey Mears slid in some of the weepers up into the turn 2 wall, took out his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr., and then got collected by an already crashed Sam Hornish. Mears' car went up and over. Hornish has caught fire. Everybody climbed out okay. Those two cars were retired from the event. Speedway did some remedial work on the weepers in turns 3 and 4. Jimmy Johnson had a look at it, pronounced it okay. We went back to racing, and then the rains really came. After 2 red flags, NASCAR finally pulled the plug. It has not rained since. And here is how we will line up for the restart with 87 laps complete, 163 to go. The only cars out of the race are those of Mears and Hornish. Hamlin's and Earnhardt Jr.'s have their crash damage repaired, as has Reed Sorensen. So 40 of the 43 starters, or 41 of the 43 starters, will be on track when we go back to green. What we anticipate, since this race is 87 laps in the books, that they will start the cars under a yellow flag condition, run enough laps to make sure that NASCAR and the teams and drivers have the confidence the track is dry and ready to go racing, and then we're going to complete the advertised distance. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip with you again on what feels just a little like Groundhog Day.
Yes, my favorite movie. You know, the thing about this morning, Larry, my crew chief buddy, you got to get. I got a bad attitude. You're gonna have to help me. And I know how some of these drivers feel. Say, man, I don't want to be here today. I want to get this thing done last night. That's why NASCAR tried so diligently to get the track dry and get the race in last night. But you got to get that driver pumped up. You got to get him ready to go, because we got quite a bit of racing to do today, Larry. And maybe if I was happy with my car, I'm happy to be here. But a lot of these guys wish they could have gone home yesterday.
Key words, quite a bit of racing to do. We know we're going to go 500 miles, 250 laps now. But Mike, yesterday at the top of our show, talked about the unknowns of bringing this car here. Now that we've run 87 laps, I've got a lot more questions, because this racetrack is so different. Jeff Gordon led 57 laps. Now he's back in the pack a little bit, and we don't know if he can work traffic as good as when he was out front. And the Roush Fenway cars, Greg Biffle, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, they look strong. And trust me, those Dodges back there, Kurt Busch, his teammate Ryan Newman, Casey Kane, they look awfully good too. We've got more questions now that we've run 87 laps.
And I want to say a big thank you to our NASCAR on Fox crew, the fellows, the men and women who stood out on the roofs and on those camera platforms, stayed with us in the truck through a long day's journey into night so we could bring you what we hoped was the race last night, and they're all back here today and ready to go. And the same is said for these fans. Boy, are they diehards. A lot of them stuck it out until the very end, until the race was called last night, and as many as could take the day off are back here for what they came to see. Let's go to pit road. Steve Burns.
Thank you very much, Mike. I want to follow up on what Larry McReynolds just talked about. Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car will restart this race as the leader, but his biggest question is, we've only run 10 green flag laps at a time, so that's the biggest concern here. They just haven't had that much green flag racing. Krista.
Well, the last thing Carl Edwards said last night, they cannot call this race. We are too good. Guess what? He may be even better today. In practice, which was also in the daytime, they were outstanding. He's from the Show Me State. He may be about ready to put on a show. Matt Yoakum.
Krista, weather is still a big concern for Kyle Busch and all the teams up and down pit road. Not about the rain, but about how much sun and how high we'll see the temps climb today. Now, teams have taken a lot of tape off their grills, anticipating the warmer temperatures, and then throw in the added thing. Kyle Busch talked about it last night at Bergeron. California,
well, Greg Biffle's car,
where it's sandblasting all those tear-offs.
Greg Biffle's car was so good last night, Matt, that he was yelling war whoops from behind the wheel. I asked him this morning, when was the last time you did that? He said 2005. In 2005, right here in California, he won the spring race, finished second in the second race. But that was last night when we had darkness, cool temperatures. Today, sunshine and warmer. Let's see how it works.
Thanks, Dick. Now, all of last night was, for NASCAR and these teams, a red flag condition. And when the garage opened this morning bright and early, only limited things were allowed to be done.
Yeah, again, you have to treat it like you cannot work on your car during red flag. But because these cars sat through so much last night, what they allowed them to do this morning, adjust the air pressure, reprime the oiling system, and because it was so damp and all the tape on these noses had got so much weather on them and rain on them, they let them retape the noses of these cars. Now, pit road was open at time. We had about 7 cars that hit pit road. I didn't expect to see the leaders because we pitted only about 4 or 5 laps before this red flag last night.
Well, the thing I'm noticing is just like on the 96 car here, a lot of teams are going under the hood, and you know what that tells me? They're making adjustments. They found out something from a teammate or from somebody in the garage that maybe there's something they can do to help their car.
One other thing was allowed to be changed, and that's the batteries for our onboard cameras, which during the red flags last night could not have been changed. So after a lap around under caution, Jimmy Johnson, who will take the green flag today from the point. Let's see what Jimmy had to say.
Yeah, it looks a lot like it did last night. A little bit better, but still there.
Well,
he's talking about the weepers up in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, not good news.
We had heavy rains here throughout the weekend and a light persistent rain Sunday morning. So the groundwater level of water in the ground has really got to be quite high for this area of Southern California, and some of that is from the dirt under the banking is weeping out through the seams in the asphalt onto the track.
But I think the good news is the sun's shining, and that's going to help not only can you see them better, but it's going to help dry them up too.
The Goodyear blimp is back with us again today from its base in nearby Carson, California. They provide our aerial coverage for track tested technology. Get there on Goodyear innovation. There you see the seams in the asphalt. You can only lay a course of asphalt so wide with existing technology, so you have to seam it, and those seams give the opportunity for groundwater to occasionally seep through.
Looked pretty good to me compared to what we were seeing last night. I don't see any wet spots.
Looks much better, and we have a green flag. Jimmy Johnson brings them down for the restart, completing lap 89.
And that's Travis Quapple in the 28 car, the white car right behind Jimmy Johnson. Now, on that pit stop they made at lap 83 last night, they elected Todd Parrott to change just right side tires to try to get the track position, but he's already working on the rear bumper of that 48 car of Johnson.
Well, we talked about Todd being a gambler, Larry, and that's the kind of gamble you'd make if you expected the race to go to halfway and be over. But now, that's going to be a hard strategy to pay off.
If you've got a good driving race car, we saw it work out last night. If your car is not balanced properly, if it's loose or if it's tight, that's where 2 tires will really bite you.
Yeah, it works pretty good for a short run, but it'll get him in the end, I think.
Greg Biffle about to surrender 4th to Jeff Gordon, who has led 57 laps. That's 4 times as many as anybody else in this race.
That 24 car is amazing to me. Watch that thing accelerate up off. Look at him put the gap between the 16 and him off of turn 2. That's where that car is so dominant. From the center of 1 and 2 off that corner and down the back, that thing really moves.
11th place, Kurt Busch, runner up in the Daytona 500. David Rudiman has had a very strong run in the double zero so far. And here comes last year's winner, Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, David runs well here. Had a horrendous crash here last year. But I talked to him about it, and he said, you know, I really don't ever think about it.
Now watching Kyle Busch in that green 18 car, he just goes by Travis Kvapil for second. It was back on lap 18, roughly, or lap 20, that he was all the way back in the 37th position. They had to pit because they had debris across the grill opening, and he immediately started working his way to the front.
Matt Yoakum.
And talking to Kyle Busch on the grid, Mike, he told me the biggest thing that stood out about his car, it was really good, but just how strong the 24, who is going to be filling up his mirror, and that 48, who he's looking at through his windshield, just how tough they are.
Well, one thing, Matt, that we've seen time and time again with that 24 car, if he can stay out front, he's really, really fast. He gets hung up back in traffic. Sometimes that's his Achilles heel, and it really affects that car for whatever reason.
Well, he's in clean air right now, Darrell, and he lacks just 2 positions of being out front once again. His teammate Jimmie Johnson and Kyle Busch.
I'll tell you a car that we talked to him last night in one of the interviews, right behind this group right here, Martin Truex Jr. in that one car. He seemed like he was pretty happy with his car last night, and he's continuing his march to the top 5.
Another guy I think you'll hear a lot out of before this day's over with is that 20 car, Tony Stewart. He's back here in he's 15th right now, Larry, but I watched these guys work the last few weeks in some of the races down at Daytona. Seem like they have really got a good handle on how to make this car come on good later on in the day. Like they got a good long run set up, maybe not so hot on the short run, but it really seems to pick up later in the day.
Talking about short runs, long runs, you know, a guy that was happy with his race car on long runs in the short practice we got on Saturday, Mark Martin in that 8 car. This is Mark Martin's 700th career Sprint Cup start today.
And there's not a lot of grip out there on that racetrack right now. This is like kind of a sandy surface almost. These cars are going to slide around a lot, and they're also going to grind off those tires in a real fast here today too.
Because all the rubber was washed off with all the rain we had.
And we saw last night all the debris that the track has. You know, the sand, the dirt, and the paper that was flying around. So this place has gotten a lot like some of the guys say, like Darlington.
Yesterday, Jeff Gordon took off from the field. Today in the early going, Jimmie Johnson has opened up a 2-second lead. Steve?
Mike, early in, Jimmie Johnson saying my car is great down in turns 1 and 2, but in 3 and 4, a little bit tight, having trouble rolling through the center. Matt?
Jeff Gordon told me the biggest lesson learned last night when they were held up on pit road and lost a lot of track position. Fresh air is your biggest friend. He said getting stuck back in traffic, his car went way to the tight side, and track position is going to be key in their pit strategy thinking today.
But Matt, that's exactly what Darrell was talking about. We've seen this even with the O car in the 24 car. He's great out front, but when he loses that downforce on the nose, talking about being out of clean air, just can't go.
Doesn't seem that way. This 7 car, I've been watching him, Larry. He's in a race here with David Ruderman. He's been moving up pretty well too. He's been making some dicey high line moves, and it's been paying off for him. He got by about 3 or 4 cars. He and Ruderman got a little deal going here.
Robbie is from Orange County. Orange, California, to be exact. And he likes that car loose. It's his home track, and a lot of family and friends here to watch him race. And he's starting this race in a bind. Docked 100 points and $100,000 by NASCAR.